Hey, good night, everybody. Welcome to the Real Talk Show. So glad to be here with you guys again. Tonight we have Unika and Ryan in the house here with us. This is
Good
Unique.
night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night. Happy to be with you all after so long.
You're rocking your pink headset there?
Yeah, yeah, it's the best one. It's the only
Oh,
one that working properly. Yeah,
okay. And then we have
yeah.
Mark and Eva who came back from their honeymoon recently. How are you all doing?
The sec from the second honeymoon.
Yeah.
I don't know what y'all talking about. But good night, Facebook. Good night, YouTube. Welcome back, guys. It's been a minute, a long, long minute. But we back and we really happy to be here with all of you. As you all know, we now start and we now go on live. So I want to encourage everybody here to share the stream. The few persons that are here so far, remember to share the stream, all right? Tonight we're talking about biblical reasons for divorce, all right? I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. We're gonna dive into the details. I think a lot, this is a topic that comes up a lot, especially obviously with Christians. And I think that this can really bless some person. So if you know somebody who's probably had questions about this, of course, feel free to share the stream right now, guys. And once you share, once you comment, you are qualified. Well, you qualify to win one of our giveaways. We do giveaways every 20 minutes or so on the show. And we have three giveaways, all right? And tonight will be Amazon vouchers. So everybody that's here so far, I want to encourage all of you to share this stream and make sure and comment because that's how you win a giveaway, all right? We're gonna get into it. Remember, if you have any questions, you feel free to ask your questions. Maybe you have your own perspective on something. Whatever the case is, if you have a story to share, feel free to share that with us, all right? Because that's the reason for this platform. We love communicating with you all and hearing your stories. Wherever your questions are, feel free, all right? So we're gonna go back to Kyle now. Kyle, you can take it away.
Hey, awesome guys. We want to encourage everybody to share the stream. We now start. So I want you all to interact with it. I want you all to like it and share it. So we know we could get more people to view it and we'll be a blessing to much more people. I will say good night to Janesta, Kimberly, Ayana. Good night, guys. I encourage you guys to interact, to share the stream. How you going, Onika?
I'm good.
Oh,
I'm very
you're good.
good. Yes.
It got up, I was sick for some time. I'd get some this COVID virus and it knocked me out for some time. Mark, I know it affected you a little bit too.
Yeah, the COVID was rough, but I thank God for His grace, getting me through and really healing that. For a moment, though, I felt like anything was possible, but the God of the impossible was with me.
Listen, you know what? I personally think that men exaggerate when it comes to sickness. Eva,
Okay.
I don't know if you could offer any
Now
agreement.
hear this joke, right, guys? I had COVID first, and our quarantine ended. A week we went out, and while I had COVID, Mark saw me so sick for the first few days. I was real sick, like real bad. And come and he's watching me, and he's saying, "Oh gosh, I wish I could take it." Because for him, he's stronger now.
You wish you could take it.
I wish it could have been me instead. And I watching while I sick, I watch him. I say, honestly, I rather it be me. Because I know I would have to put up with if it was him. Well, the table turned, and exactly what I thought is exactly what happened, guys. My niece, I don't think I have much tolerance, and this was a good for to kind of open up. I realize a lot of things in the relationship. It helps. It prepares me for when I have children. So it teaches me to
Yeah.
have and stuff. So the first morning when he wakes up and he realized he's sick, Mark lie down.
I'm looking forward to the story. So go ahead, please. He lie down.
And then I went to the bathroom to do something, and I said, all right, I alone for now. I'm not hearing the noise. Mark come in the bathroom too, and he making the noise. And I said, what's up making that noise now? Him, that's the only thing that happened with us.
What did
But
you
it was
do?
hard.
Mark, is this true?
No, No, it's really a serious
I
thing.
never feel so sick in my life,
It's
honestly.
true, it's true. Cause I felt real sick too, but Mark real helped me out when I was sick. Like real helped me out.
Mm.
All and thing a little bit sick.
What is
To
that?
deal with that pain. I just need to moan and groan to deal with that pain. But
Like seriously, I think men take it to the extreme, man. I don't know.
Oh,
I mean,
oh, okay.
yeah. All the song effects and the, like you say in the last rites, Yeah, it's a bit
Maybe-
much.
Maybe
It's a bit
online
much.
you can tell us your experiences if that be the case, if men is getting more whimpery when they get sick or not. Is it that women have a little more tolerance for pain? That's what you're trying to explain here, or some kind of
I just think that we are the stronger beings. Just you all might be physically stronger, but I think in other areas we just we built for this. To
built
handle
for
this kind of pain and these kind of things. Now, you ever had a cramp? You ever had menstrual cramps?
anyhow.
Yeah.
Let's zip it there, Mark.
yeah.
You zip it.
Sound. Just see that say they're like babies. When
Somebody
men
said
get
that in the comments. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, like babies. Jared laughing. Jared, you know you're falling in that category too, Jared.
Jared was like that too. Jared was so when he had COVID.
Jared, that little cough. And you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Jared was
Anyhow,
like that.
guys. Hmm?
How you
Cindy,
felt? Kind you was okay, or you felt like you was on your last, or like it was real
I didn't
bad?
think of my last, but what happened is generally when I get sick, I just can't take medication, so it was affecting me bad. Like I just can't take I started my heart. So the first night, Nikki, I'd get Advil, school as fever and something, whatever the name it is,
Yeah.
and well, it's not for cold, it was for fever and pain.
Pain,
One of
yeah.
that.
And yeah, fever and pain.
Because
Yeah.
I was getting real body pains, and I take that the first night, and it didn't really take much. So the next night I take that, I started to feel like a drug addict, but I started to get up so, and my heart racing, and I'm in pain, and I just say, watch me. I will suffer all the pain and the headache, breads, and I just lie down, and I just had to take it. So I ride down for like 5 days, or just that. But yeah, I cool.
We thank God that
I wasn't good. I wasn't moaning, and you know.
I felt real bad, boy. I nearly cried, to be honest.
What?
You nearly cry.
Yeah, when I went by the nurse, boy.
You went by somewhere for your sick when you had COVID?
To take
To
the
get
test.
tested.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the COVID, I can understand how we can finish off some people when if this is really body can't take it though. Because you kind of all these symptoms you just get at the same time, it was serious. That headache, the body pain, different things. I can understand
That can't
somebody.
take you out. None of that. The headache and body pains can't take out nobody.
If I
Right.
can feel all the weekend in your body so straight, yeah.
If the fever, if you have it too long, I could understand that affecting you. But come now.
I
A
can
headache
see
and
how
body
it is. You
pains.
can break it down, Markins. You can feel
Yeah,
like if you're a healthy young man and you feel on your last.
Yeah. The only thing I feel for my mother food, all kind of thing with that one, you know.
What you trying to say?
I say I'm gonna make some soup for you. He said, nah, but I feel for my mother. So I went down the road and get soup from his mother for him.
Wow.
Gosh, way, Mark, way.
I have to say, I had people bring soup and all kind of thing from the north. So we had like 3 different kind of soup, like from people now. So
Yeah.
that was like a real blessing.
Oh, you how long? I know you had it, but it was bad.
I had much worse viruses than that. I was probably 3 days. I felt really, really bad. Like I say bad, like you just want to lie down whole day,
Yeah.
and then after that it was recovery really. But I've had worse viruses. I've had worse.
Oh, okay.
All three of us had. I mean, everybody said they had worse viruses.
Oh, okay. The worst virus I had. I had something bad when I was younger with that kind of diarrhea, and I was just on my last. I saw my eyes. Couldn't. It was bad. It was bad. But anyhow, yeah. Let me get into the topic. I'll say good night to everybody again. Thanks for sharing the stream. I encourage you guys to also interact with it. There's 20-something people watching and only 6 people interact with the stream. encourage you guys to put a little smiley face, do something, interact with it. Kimberly said the fatigue, yes. After I think I maybe 90% there. That sometimes I start to do things and I just feeling a little more tired than usual and before. But yeah, again, I'll recover. I think that's one of the things that's linger after when it is they get the COVID. That kind of fatigue kind of feeling. But you had that mark and when it's in work and thing.
Now I fell back to normal.
Oh,
Honestly, very quickly. Probably by the next week, I was good.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
was
just
good.
feel like I was dying for one day.
It was a few days, honestly, like about a week. But the first few days was the most. It was the most intense. I say, okay, this thing I'm gonna need some prayer and some faith to really rebuke this virus and think. I felt like anything was possible.
Anyhow, today we're talking about biblical reasons for divorce. Now, we know that I encourage you guys to share it with somebody, interact with the stream. I see a lot more people coming on. But I encourage you guys that tonight is gonna be an interesting night. It's gonna be powerful. We're gonna be have a back and forth because how many I shall maybe in comment section you all can let me know if it is one Christian who's divorced who's maybe is not true maybe biblical reasons like most people would know like one is adultery. I think most people would know that that's maybe a biblical and a reason, but maybe if you let us know if it is maybe more than one person that get divorced and it is not linked to adultery. Maybe you can let us know in the comment section if you know somebody like that. But Unika, maybe starting off with you through counseling, obviously as a pastor, yeah, passing around in the house here with us.
Sure, Pastor Joseph.
I'm sure you've met with a lot of couples in your time, maybe married, and what would you say some of the biggest reasons that people maybe come to counseling for that that they need help with even before maybe they or maybe when they reach that point of maybe divorce?
Divorce, right? Well, infidelity is the number one for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
That people that cause people to get to that point of even considering divorce. That is definitely number one. Number two reason is either one of the parties. Well, I mean, I haven't encountered a lot of people with abuse, but yes, I've had one or two people with abuse who, just wanted to end it because of that. But after that, after infidelity, I would say the number two would be just people who don't feel loved. They don't feel like they're getting in, that their partner is fulfilling their role as a husband or wife,
Mm-hmm.
and they feel as though they're not getting what they're supposed to get as a spouse. So they feel like their partner is not living up to the expectations. That is that I would say that's the number two reason.
So you see that number two reason that expectations or any kind of thing like that, and I guess
that people go towards divorce. Yeah. So basically, this is not what I signed up for. I'm not getting from this person what I thought I would get in a marriage, and the person isn't loving me right, and they have all the different reasons. They're not emotionally there. People talk about emotional abuse. I think that's a real broad thing to say, emotional abuse, because for me, emotional abuse might be you telling me to clean the house. I feel like that's just emotional abuse, right? But for somebody else, right?
I just feel emotionally abused from
right? So I saying that my husband emotionally abused me and that's a reason, or wife emotionally abused is a reason for divorce is, that's like a real broad statement that people make, and you kind of really have to get down to what they're actually talking about. But that is, those things are real. The feeling of being unloved and all of that.
Maybe some people in comment can tell us when it's like maybe emotional abuse or verbal abuse, I should say, like what that's not necessary. Obviously, you have to say certain words, right? But like, what does that look like? Or you think, Mark, I remember once you said that if it is your wife cheats on you, that is it, you're done. You're ready to, you don't know if you could reconcile. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I that's a feeling that I used to harbor, that if my wife was unfortunately unfaithful to me, that I don't know if I could stay around, and I don't know, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, Interesting.
But thankfully that will not be my portion. But
You
but
good?
by God's grace, but sometimes I do hear people saying that God did tell me that was my wife, but I married them anyway. So marrying the wrong wife, I think is another reason sometimes people is want to have divorce. Because sometimes I talk to people and they say, I know this wasn't ready to be my wife, but I married them anyway.
Wow. And you believe it or not, I'm a believer, maybe over 10 years now. And most of the people's stories I hear is actually number two, Onika say. It's not necessarily number one in a marriage. That obviously they would have people who cheat on people and things like that, right? But I actually had more people I know in the world, like friends and things like that I interact with, that was their story. When Christ, that is actually two of the stories I hear. Like one of the things Mark says, like that they said them say that is not the one. Like I never unbeliever really talk like that kind of ways. They just move on and they're married to somebody else if they don't like it again, right? But the Christians just come up with weird thinkings and philosophies. They said, say, well, I didn't believe God tell me she's not the one and different things like that. And you had that feeling. I wonder if maybe somebody online could tell us who maybe is divorced if they had that feeling before, that if it is the fella that this is not the one. When it is somebody say that, Onika, I know we get into somewhere, right, guys? We're just trying to build up the topic here. When somebody does say that, where's your thoughts on that? That when it is this, well, God told me that, so but they're married now, right? So where's your thoughts towards that? That now that all of a sudden now problems come and they start to bring up. Well, when I was on the altar and I see the girl, it wasn't smiling, it was run. You know what I mean? I had this feeling, I had this overwhelming feeling to run. I didn't want to feel like the runaway groom, so I just had to relax myself. Where's your thoughts?
Well, you live with your mistake. If that's what you're saying, you make a mistake. You went before the altar and you made vows before God, and you said vows in front of witnesses and in front of God, and you made a covenant. It's not something that you could just wake up in the morning and say, "Oops, I married the wrong woman." So that's your wife now, or that's your husband now. So you have to make it work. And people could listen. It's possible that people could get married and not be in love, right? Or not. One party don't love the other as much, or don't love at all, or they feel is love. But it's also possible if the people are really true believers and they do want to make their marriage work, that they could end up falling in love with each other or growing in love then, right? Sure. Having a greater appreciation for the person. So you tell yourself, oh, this thing, I didn't know this is what this was going to be like, boy, but I'm married. I'll make a commitment. Let me get some help. You don't just say, well, I make a mistake. It's not, God does not look at divorce like that. That you wake up in the morning and say, I make a mistake and move on. And so if you do feel like that, you're working on it, because it's not like the person beating you, the person and cussing you up, they're not cheating on you. Most times it's just that it's not what you thought. As I said, it's not what you expected. Things that didn't work out how you thought it would have worked out in your mind. So you come up with these.
But what if all the burden and the responsibility is on one party and they just can't take it anymore?
Sometimes that's what love requires,
Serious? Wow.
Yeah.
There's sometimes that serious love by Mark, right?
That is what love requires. If it's a matter of love, it's like you're not feeling loved, but you as the person who you have love for the person, love sometimes requires that.
Wow.
And I believe that love is more powerful than people give it credit for. That if somebody is really genuinely showing love, right, especially in the setting of a marriage, that I believe that the other person whose heart might be hard could eventually get to a place where they start to break down and walls start to come down and they start to open up. But many times, Kyle, what people call loving is not loving. Right. It's nagging, and it's trying to get a man to conform or woman to conform, you understand? Trying to change them, trying to fix them, trying to make them into, it's not that
they want them to be,
Yeah, that's not loving. That's not what love is.
Yeah, a matter of fact, I come across a little controlling to get a person, and it's that, and hence the reason right there is be the issue, right? So maybe online, guys, before we go to you guys, maybe you all could tell us what you all think is the most common reason people get divorced. That the number one thing, like me, I remember we did a show with some counselors some time back. I remember they were saying for them the number one reason actually wasn't infidelity. They were saying that most people come because of life, because of it's not working out together.
They're not working out. They're not
yeah.
not getting along and whatever. Yeah.
A matter of fact, that is actually one of the biggest reasons in marriage when the adultery has happened after. Like if it is, like say
Correct.
two people do reach that point and eventually if they just ignore everything, what is end up happening is the man might go in work, he get close to somebody, and then because nobody and just let me be a little practical here, right? Obviously, if there's some sick men out there, you should know you're marrying a sicko husband, right? But most people don't just go and just sleep around with somebody just like that, right? It takes certain things for things to happen just like that, and many times in a situation like that where these issues arise and different things, many times that is through a time frame certain things happen. So maybe you guys can tell us over online what you all think is the most common area or reasoning that people actually get divorced. That your and how you could, and also to maybe you could do a little personal assessment of the people around you that you know, that many that you look around and you might know, well, you know, this person get divorced for this. My mom and dad, they never got divorced, but you know, he left and he was with another woman, and that is, but they never actually got, I think, legally divorced in that kind of way, at least to my knowledge, right? I really don't know. I really don't know the situation. I must ask my mother, but I think up to this day, when he died, he was still, you know, that was the case legally in the case, right? So he never filed for divorce. But maybe, what you think for you, Mark? Let me ask you before we go to the comment section. What you think is the most, from what you know, within your circle, the number one reasoning?
I would say it's between the two, you know. But a lot of people does actually say that they're not feeling like they're being loved by their spouse in the way that they would want to, and a lot of things that start to kind of irritate them. So things that kind of didn't used to irritate them anymore start to become, you know, the cooking, different things. And sometimes I just look at it as small things like not cleaning the house and different things that start to become like major issues. But to me, no, I'm not judging. Am I? I just wonder if sometimes when you're feeling to the point that you want to leave, you just start to look at everything now and like, yeah. To me, that's what it does seem like.
You start to look for reason. You start to look for justification. You have to get more justification because you know you're already thinking divorce now. So now you're looking at everything to say, well, you do this and that or that and that. Yeah, it's true.
But a big thing is be feeling loved from the person. So sometimes I just wonder if we just at times look at love in the wrong way, as like sometimes you loving your wife might require you to be long suffering a little bit, or to work with them or try to work out the situation and be patient. But sometimes people just feel like if a certain aspect of the marriage not perfect or the relationship, you're not feeling love, that is an indication that you need to get divorced, when you could actually love the person and try to work through it with God. Sometimes people just take that as their opportunity, or feel like there is nothing could be saved and feel like they want to leave the marriage.
All right. What do you think, Eva?
Yeah, basically I agree. I'm seeing even in the comments here, it's straight to do on good night to people. I'm seeing Lisa Beckles. Good night to you, Lisa. Lisa says the most common are financial problems, which is true, and I think that's one we didn't mention. Justine, but she says boredom. I mean, that's real sad, but is the truth. It really is sad to know again and divorce because I'm bored in my but it's the truth. It's the truth. That's one of the major reasons. It's just people don't admit it. They would find other things to say to make it what's the word? To make it a little more reasonable then. Like again,
rather than say because you can't go and stand up before a judge and say it was bored.
Bored, exactly. Ayuka says violent, growing apart from each other. Let me see. Spouse not recognizing their love language. Let me see. Bridget Smith says, I know many persons separated because they just grew out of love. Love vanishes, respect slowly goes, communication decreases, and sex and space are always are all these people separate or leave. How do you grow out of love
Yeah.
with someone? Like, how do you go from being so in love with somebody that you choose to marry them and then you grow out of love? Like, how does that happen? Lisa says, yes, it's true. They look to find grounds for divorce. Many persons also say they just realize they married the wrong person, which is exactly what Max said earlier, or even that they have outgrown that person. But I think that's the issue with how people view marriage now. You don't get married until you outgrow somebody. Marriage is supposed to be a lifelong commitment now. Just falling out of love, and then this leads to infidelity and to a last resort, divorce. Lisa Beckles, you go and get a whole married and then get bored. Yeah, exactly. John Freeman says kids. I don't know what John means like by that. If it's probably somebody who can't have kids, which I think is another reason why some people may end up getting a divorce.
Sometimes people just feel like when you have kids, that the focus not necessarily on each other as it used to be.
And there's more on the kids than each other. So it could go both ways. If you can't have kids, some people think they get divorced because it is on the relationship. And then the other side of it is you feel like the children are the priority and not you. Ayana, lack of communication is also a reason for divorce as well as marrying too young. Let me marrying too young. You didn't know you was marrying too young when you marry young. Let me say goodnight to a few persons. Ayana, well, I know you just read a comment from Ayana, Carrie Leon, Patricia Tinto, Kimberly Singh, Justina Batiste, Ayoka, Sarana, Jared, Crystal Martin. Good night to all the lovely people. Cindy Nayak, good night to you.
Good night, Cindy. That's my sister.
Good night to Cindy. A special good night to Cindy. Let me see. We have some COVID comments here, so breezing through those comments. I want to get comments from earlier on. Justina Betty says, I am divorced because of abuse. So abuse is another one, and I think we did touch on that earlier on. Bridget Smith, I know one couple that has divorced due to verbal abuse. It became unbearable to the woman, and she was becoming suicidal. Ayuba also says domestic abuse or violence. Bridget says her divorce was also made because her kids were becoming disrespectful to her after seeing and hearing how their father treated her. Justina says in the house, she also said abuse like her husband who says he is a Christian. Sharpens a cutlass whole night. This is mental abuse. Well, that's something I can get physical.
Yeah, boy.
Bridget says
once I could sharpen too. What is it? Once I could sharpen too. You sharpen, I sharpen. Once I could sharpen too. You sharpen, you go ahead.
Bridget says you don't marry divorce. However, some people come into our lives to teach us lessons as well as that was a chapter closed for God's plan to work fully in you. When I say God's plan, I mean your experience can be helpful to many who find it hard to leave situations with fear that life is over. You can now show them nothing is impossible with God. Kay Robinson, good night to you. Let me see. Justina says love on a one-way street. Let me see what else we have here. I think I read this one. I read this already. I know many persons separated because they just grew out of love. Love vanishes, respect slowly. Yes, I did read this comment. Let me see. Marcia Price, good night to you. Ayana says lack of intimacy. Joel James, the source of the problem where all thoughts of divorce start with selfishness. Bridget says sometimes your values change due to maturity or experiences that your wishes and expectations shift, and when those expectations are not being met, the love disappears. Let me see what else we have here. I think we're coming on to the last few comments for this segment. Kimberly says, can it also be that the relationship was codependent? So when one stopped doing for the other, example in courting stage, they did a lot for one another. Then when they got married, certain things changed. codependent persons cannot love, just expressing some Bible study here. Celine Maynard marrying, not knowing the person was totally different. All right. That's true. John Clement says things just not as exciting as when they met. Okay, so we saw a lot of comments here. You still on?
Yeah, you're on. Yeah.
We saw a lot of comments here, and I actually interested to ask this question to the viewers and especially the persons that commented. Do you all think that some of these things that were listed is a valid reason for divorce? Like, for example, I saw we said growing apart, boredom, lack of intimacy, communication issues. Are these things valid reasons for divorce? And I mean, I believe we will touch on that eventually as well in the show, but I'm interested to hear what you all have to say. Do you think that these are valid reasons for divorce? And while you all answer that, Kai will come back, and I also want to do my first giveaway. My first giveaway is going to go to Celine Maynard. Celine, I'm not sure if I've ever seen your name here before. I try my best to give giveaways to new persons. Maybe you've been here and you never actually commented because I really genuinely don't remember seeing your name. So if you are here for the first time or commenting for the first time, I want to say a special good night to you and a welcome to the a special welcome to the Real Talk Show and the Real Talk family. We're happy to have you here. We have a fair comment. And you'll see how easy that is, right? You just comment and you're gonna give away. So I encourage the rest of you that are viewing, continue to share the stream, and you or one of your friends or family members could be one of our winners tonight. All right. So Kai, we're gonna go back to you now.
Mark Quasi, real happy to see you, boy.
Yeah, I'm now going and say
real happy to see you, boy.
Okay.
I get Quasi,
Big up Quasi.
Yeah.
Gosh, Kyle, you have some noise going on there, boy.
Serious? I know it's
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hearing it. Sound like right, it's gone. Whatever you do there, it's gone.
Yeah, that's just the mic volume. I have to turn on.
Okay.
Still hearing it? Am I soft, loud, whatever? I don't know.
No, it's sounding good.
All right, cool. Yeah, say it. I apologize. So yeah, that's an interesting question to hear from the people online, like what they think about the reasoning is like that if they are valid. You know, be honest. You could actually share your honest opinion about if this you really believe, if somebody like financial reasonings, and you can even give a reasoning for to justify it. Like if it is to say maybe the person just gamble and every time you get paid, I have my money just disappear and I live in so far here and I just can't take that no more because all the children suffering and all these different things. And you know, because that's things people is facing, Mark. People is faced with their husband and everything now and gamble and drink away all the money before they even, you know, I know somebody, so I used to work with some time back and I had to talk to the person and I kind of way that when it's done, they're going to bar, when they get paid, and most of the money so they be drink it out breads. And then after he come in and explaining, the wife quarreling and he feeling justified now. It's like breads. It's a clown about it. I mean, and you know what I mean? And it just, but to him, he would think he doing the right thing because part of it, he just never wanted to go for the weekend now. You know, he didn't hear him and I'm sorry, he wanted to just escape for the weekend. It's just quarrel when he go home, is this and but he don't realize it's he creating all the quarrel and it seems not. You understand? He created all the problems and then complaining that it had the problems. But that that was just an interesting point of time,
But that gambling thing, I get exposed to seeing people who just do it. About 2 years ago, one thing. It's at a Chinese place I used to go to get change.
Change? What kind of change?
Well,
taxi girl, good.
Yeah, I used to need a lot of
I forgot. Right. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
And I used to go there and they had a table thing and sometimes I don't know if maybe I used to see people putting in like 20,000 and different things and just lost it and go on normal and it used to seem real evil to me, boy, like how you could just lose that kind of money and had a beg for passage and different things. It was not too far from where I just lived, but I see how it is going and it is a real sad thing if you don't have self-control and people will suffer with that going.
Yeah, it's an addiction like all the others just affect it have its course that would affect you, right? Like if you're watching porn, different things that affect your marriage in a different way and vice versa. Those other addictions can affect your marriage in another way, But Unica, We want to get into maybe what we would see is maybe some of the biblical reasons, and then we didn't finish when we study biblical reasons because we seen but we have to have a sense of like what the Bible says. It's important to know what the Bible says when it comes to divorce and to understand God's heart, because in the Bible, God says he actually hates divorce. He don't like the idea behind it. He hates everything when it comes to it, right? A man sending away his wife. That's basically what it is, right? So maybe Onika, maybe you could maybe share what are some of the biblical reasons for actually divorce, like what the Bible says, because it's important to know this.
Well, okay, I want to excuse me. I'm gonna read Matthew 19, right? Which is where where they were trying to trick Jesus, and it's interesting that they used this question to try to trap Jesus, because to be honest, it is not an easy topic. It's very hard to give people yes or no answers. Because I mean, if we say we being biblical, right? There's actually no scripture really where it says that if your husband slap you or abuse you, right, that Jesus say, well, I will allow you to divorce, right? So what do I tell the woman who is being abused? To stay in the marriage because that's not in the Bible. You know what I mean, right? So even in Jesus' days, they knew it was a tricky subject, and it's not like a hard and fast thing. Like you could just tell people, yes or no, right? So I'll just read it because it's self-explanatory. In Matthew 19, it says, when Jesus finished these things, he left the Gentiles, came down to the region. Crowds follow him. He was like, some of the Pharisees came and tried to trap him with this question. And the question is, should a man be allowed to divorce his wife for just any reason? So basically, they ask him what we're talking about tonight, right? And Jesus said, haven't you read the scriptures? They record that from the beginning, God made them male and female. And he said, this explains why a man leaves his father and mother and is joined to his wife, and the two are united as one. Since they are no longer two but one, let no one split apart what God has joined together. So I think what Jesus was trying to show them too is that it can't be no simple thing. You're talking about two people that have become one, right? It's no longer two individuals, right? You all hearing some background noise? Yes? It's from you.
My mic muted.
Okay, right. It was Mark and Eva, right? Okay. All right. And then they come back and they say, so why did Moses say in the law that a man could give his wife a written notice of divorce and send her away? Jesus replied, Moses permitted divorce only as a concession to their hard hearts, but it was not what God originally intended. And I tell you this, whosoever divorces his wife and marries someone else commits adultery, unless his wife has been unfaithful, right? So what the Bible is saying here is that if you do choose to get divorced after somebody's unfaithful to you in a marriage, your spouse, you can remarry, right? It actually never said, okay, let me go on. Jesus' disciples said, so in this case, here the disciples say, in this case, it's best I don't get married, right? The disciples was like, brother man, well, I feel like I'm going to stay by myself, right? Because they realized that it was a very serious matter, right? I think where people get where it becomes a little difficult, right? Jesus said if you get divorced and you remarry, it is adultery, except it's for fornication. But it doesn't mean that somebody cannot get divorced and make a decision to live by themselves for the rest of their life. That's what, to say, if they really commit, I don't want to be in this situation anymore. This is too hard for me, whatever your reason, but you are not going to look to be joined to somebody else, right? You've decided that you're no longer keeping that covenant, but I don't think that Jesus was saying that is the problem. I don't know if you agree with that, Kyle. So you can divorce, but never remarry. What you saying?
With what? If it is somebody with...
So if the person say no, well, okay, now let me don't say that, right? Because Jesus said he really don't like divorce. He said it in Malachi. He hates it. Mm-hmm. He said it's actually cruelty to your wife to divorce her. So it's a serious thing. So I'm not taking it lightly. But what I'm saying is, let's say somebody is in a situation of abuse or neglect, or let's say the husband gambling, right? And he not
Mhm.
stopping, he not getting help, or he taking some kind of drugs or something, and they want a divorce, right? It's okay to get divorced, but it's not okay to remarry. What you say to that?
Well, that's partially, I guess, what Jesus was trying to explain right now. When it comes to remarrying, that is something we have to dive deep into. But I think that is when it comes to Christians, that is really the problem they have. I think people divorce anybody for any reason, and if it is, but because that is where it is, the divorce. But that is where the tricky problem that's coming from most. Why that is where it be a big issue, because people is be like, well, Jesus says so, and you can't get it, and that is where the problem that's come. But my question is going to ask after you finish make your point is how come people don't get separated? Why people don't just get separated for
Well,
some
some
time?
people do. Some people do.
Now I
Some
say now
people do.
why that would be the first result to get separated for some time? Like let's
But
say you
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because if the ultimate goal, like say somebody is abusive or any kind of thing like that,
Yeah.
if the ultimate goal is really that you love the person, but it is you getting affected by it, right? How come sometimes it'll be all right, we need to get we need to get
Oh
abusive,
my.
we need to
Oh my.
get separated, and we will try and help you. You need to go and get some kind of help. You need, if you need to get locked up for some time, you need to get whatever. That how come it's always just be divorced immediately and you just
Because the person want to move on. It's not just sometimes in their heart they're saying they
Mhm.
want help, or they're saying they're moving on because my life in danger or whatever. But in their heart, they move on mentally, and in their heart already now. So they're ready to find somebody else, Kyle. So they want
Right.
to divorce so they could move on. But that when things, I mean, I advise people many times when things come to a point of where you cannot even live in peace, Kyle. There's even a
Right.
scripture about that in the Bible talking about separation and divorce, where it says that God desires that you live in peace. So if
Mhm.
you unbelieve, and it was talking about the unbelieving husband who want to go, right?
Right.
If you can't live with him or her, right, in peace, he was saying let them go if they desire to go. So some
Mhm.
people might be literally living in hell, right? And
Mhm.
every day is torment. Not that they're getting abused, but the relationship is so toxic, right? Take a time out. But in
Right.
people heart, you see people heart sometimes is in the wrong place. So the time out is for them to play the self, or the time out is really, you understand? But taking
Mhm.
a time out is not a bad thing to do. Separating for a while,
Right.
reevaluating the marriage, the situation, trying to get help for whichever spouse is the
Mhm.
one with the issue. So separation is, and people have separated and come back together, and the love was more ignited once they get the issue sorted out. They realize
Right.
that I don't want to live the rest of my life without this person. And
Right.
love actually make them come to the place of actually getting help and
Mhm.
finding solutions, and they're able to reunite and make things work.
Yeah,
But some
I wanted to make a point like maybe to the end of the show, but I guess as we hear, it's actually I was reading when I was reading up some of these stuff, on the show, just got in. It's interesting, the Bible, Jesus gives a heart reason for divorce, like what the reason
mhm,
why people used to operate. He didn't say adultery, he didn't say nothing. He
yeah,
said in those times, Moses permitted it because the hardness of people's heart.
yeah,
I find interesting that on the face of the earth, it would seem like God is saying that remember when you talk about the last days, one of the proofs of the last days is that people's hearts would get hardened in this time, and it actually is becoming more relevant now how people lack love. Believers are talking about, right? Even believers,
yeah,
really and truly, this program is really focused to believers because we can't tell unbelievers. Not, what I mean. No matter of fact, the apostle Paul give advice if you're married to unbeliever. What I mean. I can't force you all to fall in love with Jesus, and that is a good start for anybody who's an unbeliever listening here. I encourage you to fall in love with God. And the reason being is that when Jesus gave that, I was thinking about it, right, Onika? God says he hates divorce. He don't like the whole process or the whole idea behind it, the whole situation of it, Mark. And one of the things he says because the hardness of your heart. You see, God in Himself, that's not reasoning for Him. You catch it because Bible clearly says God will not divorce us, and He relates to our life as marriage. And I can see God thinking to Himself that you become so sinful, you became so hateful, and that is a justification for God to say, "I no longer want to be with you no more." You know what I mean? And that is that God, because God is the power of God's love really supposed to resonate in our marriage first, right? So when it comes, I just find it interesting that when you hear a lot of people's stories, and when you look at a lot of people's life and their situations, people really lack love. That they try to fix their marriage so much to get to work with they don't even want to go through hard times with people. They want everything to be airy fairy and perfect. Like it's like they watch people's lives and they watch only the good time, but they don't understand sometimes that these people went through some of the most difficult things together, and they don't understand that sometimes love requires some hardship. As the Bible actually says, love is long suffering. It actually sometimes there are things that people go through together that nobody know about. But everybody wants to have the nice experiences because of the end result. That's when you get to know somebody, is when things go too bad, when things happen, and you get to actually know somebody for who they are. And hence the reason, one of the things that happen in many people's lives is their heart get hard, and everything becomes a reason to get divorced. And Moses just had to permit it. You say, well, but in the gospel time, in this new covenant time, God is hoping that all of us, because he didn't make it this kind of law, that kind of way, right? But he made a statement and he made it seem like in this new time, and he's in the old time, that's how it was. So, but since the beginning, that's not what was God's intention. And see, now we're restored now to God. God's intention right now is that we could have a love that supersedes that what it is we experience on the face of the earth right now. And we should be able to love some people beyond the circumstances, the situations that we face. But it's prevalent in this time that love is really lacking in people's life in a big way. That what I mean by that, it means that they even have a warped view of what love is and different things like that. I know if it's Mark, you wanted to say something before we move on to Unica.
Yeah, well, for me personally, in getting married, God started, speak to me about it. And I was just watching the first marriage, which was Adam. And before he got married, he really had a time with God, a time where he and God would really fellowship before Eve came into the picture. And I think that is where he would have get his foundation on what love is and who love is. And I think in some cases, not all, but some cases, do some of these husbands know what love really is? Because Christ commanded the husband to love his wife as Christ loved the church in the same way. And we see it ourselves, those of us who have salvation, we know where we was at in life. And we know somebody, if we was in the same position as God, we might have wanted to divorce ourselves. But God really stick it out because he sees something in us that is valuable. And when I look at how Eve came into the picture, Eve was even different to even a child, because a child is basically in a sense half the man and woman, right? Mother and father. But Eve literally came from Adam. Eve was basically him. The Bible says your wife is literally two of y'all are one flesh. So I think sometimes even the way I ask God to help me to see Eva like that, like if she is me in a sense, I would never want she to leave this part of me, like I don't want to leave me, if you think about it, she come from me, that this is basically, we are one. And it's a weird thing to look at somebody that should mean so much to you and actually want to separate from this person. Like, I don't want to lose my hand or my eye or any part of me. And to know that spiritually, that both of us literally were made one by God. Because God say the Bible say what God has put together, let no man separate. God really takes the approach with us that God sees Christ. He put Christ in us. He put us in Christ. And that's what really give us so much value to God, the love that he has for us. Christ is really the one that really sanctifies us, and God has put value in us. And when we get married, God put a value within the marriage that both of us are connected and one. And really, if you think about it, it's a crazy thing that this bond you have with your wife is something that you don't even have with your children. It's something really special. And I think it's one of the reasons why God really, he showed how much he invested in us, that he gave us everything up, even himself, his identity and everything. And God actually all in. We see his heart because he said he married to us. even if we in a backslidden state, God say he married to the backside. And we see that as a choice that God making, a deep choice that he chooses to value us. And really God wants the husband and well the wife, we understand the love of God. But this is the kind of approach you take when you're marrying your wife. That this is somebody that I am in covenant with. This is somebody that I am committing my life to. And I choose to place value in you, and I choose to reject everybody else. And I choose you over everybody, anybody else. You know, and it's really, I think sometimes people don't understand the covenant of marriage and really the approach that God really requires of the husband, especially to take. That we had to literally see as you walk in Christ and you see how he loves us is a cool thing, and is also a kind of is a sobering thing that this love that I received from Christ, this is what he requires from a wife. And as much as it could be difficult at times, if you have the Holy Spirit in you, if you have God in you, you could do it. And it's something that will come natural, and it's something that you will want to do. And also, if you really love your wife, if you have the love of God in you, you will naturally stay away from the things that would bring destruction in your marriage. You wouldn't want to have lust in your life. You wouldn't want to be getting close to another woman. You just would naturally do the thing that would make your marriage successful. So there's just my personal view that I'm sharing based on my
Yeah.
walk with God so far being married.
You know, I was gonna ask this question to the end of this segment, right? But I want to give back Unika time to continue. Let me move on. But I want to ask this question, right? And I want you all to give some answers. And Eva, I want to hear them, right? Is there a reason that you would divorce your child? Hear what I mean by that, right? Is there a legit reason where you would say, I want nothing to, I want to hear the reasonings for that, right? Where I don't want to do nothing with my child, I'm moving on, we're going to separate ways. I would like to hear somebody in the comment section tell me, where's a legit reason to you to maybe abandon your child, in other words, just have nothing to do with your child? Because maybe to some people, it might really have one, right? That they might say, watch me and my son, we done. I don't want nothing. I don't want to see that man face no more. I don't want nothing to do with him, right? I would like to hear somebody to tell me in the comment section, where's a legit reason to you personally where it is you won't have nothing to do with your child anymore. But you go ahead, Onika, you take it away by the time.
Right. So the first one was infidelity, right? Was a biblical reason. The other one is abandonment, but I was looking for the scripture. I don't know if it was that same scripture, Kyle, if you know it. I was looking for it. Where it talks about if the unbelieving husband wants to go, let him go. Is it that same scripture? Or
Yeah,
or no?
that's Corinthians, yeah.
Right. Is it First Corinthians? Is it 7?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's around, I guess in 1 Corinthians 7, yeah.
So
I
one from
looking at
10 to 15.
right. Okay, because I'm looking too
Yeah.
far down. That's why I'm saying, right. But if
Yeah.
those who are married, I command them. Okay, but for those who are married, I have a command that comes not from me, but from the Lord. A wife must not leave her husband, but if she does leave him, let her remain single or else be reconciled to him. And the husband must not leave his wife. So I think this is what we were talking about, Kyle, right? Where I was saying that if the wife, that there's basically it's saying that a wife should not leave her husband, right? But if she does, let her remain single. Now I will speak to the rest of you, though I do not have a direct command from the Lord. If a fellow believer has a wife who is not a believer and she's willing to continue with him, living with him, he must not leave her. And if a believing woman has a husband who is not a believer and he's willing to continue living with her, she must not leave him. For the believing wife brings holiness to a marriage, and the believing husband brings holiness to his marriage. Otherwise, your children will not be holy, but now they are holy. But if the husband or wife who isn't a believer insists on leaving, let them go. In such cases, the believing husband or wife is no longer bound to each other, for God has called you to live in peace. Don't you wives realize that your husband might be saved through you? And don't you husbands realize that your wife might be saved through you, right? That's self-explanatory, right? It's basically saying that if you have a spouse which I mean, and that's something that's a big thing too, Kyle. Actually, I didn't mention that when you asked me what are some of the top things, right? That is actually one where two people get married, one is saved, one is unsaved. Sometimes they marry, so right, they married the woman unsaved or the man unsaved or whatever, or one of them gets saved in the marriage. They were both unsaved, one gets saved, and the party who is now a believer, they can't take the man again. The same man they met who was drinking, smoking, partying with them. But I mean, I understand you change and you no longer want that lifestyle, right? But some Kevin would always say, Kevin would always ask them, but NTR, oh, hear what Kevin would always say, pretty practice. See, but when you fell in love with them, there was this horrible person, well, in your opinion, they would drink, they smoking, they partying, and you fell in love with them and you loved them and you all got along. And he would say, but now that you're a believer, shouldn't you have more love rather than less love? You understand? If this is somebody that you genuinely love, should you now have more love and have patience with them because you were once in a place like them, lost and living in sin or whatever? So now, can you hear me? Hold
Yeah,
on
but
one second.
something adjust with
Yeah,
the
give me
you,
1 second. Sorry about that. 1 second. Sorry.
okay. Somebody trying to call you or something. I want to say good night to all the new people who on the stream. I've seen some people, giving some answers. Mark, encourage everybody to interact with the stream. And like it, there are over 40 something people watching right now. So I encourage you guys to interact, like the stream, let more people view it, more people be interactive. I'm sure you all find the program going good, is interesting. We love to hear your opinions, but it's powerful to hear people real stories about the things that they go through, Mark, and the situations that they live. And sometimes when you live a situation, your experience can now become your truth when it's not really the truth.
Yeah.
You understand that a lot of people, they think that their experience many times is what makes something to be true, and that is actually not the case. That many times the things that we experience in life is not the truth. It is actually not. It's sometimes far from it. So it's important to know as you listen to the show and as we get along and moving along the topic, that you be open to maybe some of the things that we explaining, because so far we stick with the things in the Bible and God's word, and we trying to get you all to see that how God feels about us and how he loves us, because any day that is the core thing behind it, right? Now, Mark, Onika was talking about abandonment, right? And the Bible was saying, obviously, long time, right? One of the things can happen when it comes to abandonment outside of our husband just wanting to go his way, right? He could abandon his family. People just do that maybe up to this, the man will just leave and he just go on, and vice versa. Or a woman might just pick up herself and she go on and leave the man with the children and different things like that. Also, too long time, when it is people do things like, all right, if it is you were to travel and you go on a ship and you go somewhere, something can happen and you might never reach back home in your life. Things can happen and it might be a long process, and things can happen within your journey now. But it's important to know when the Bible is talking about some of these things that you understand God's heart first. Because I think that's where people get it wrong, Mark. They think when they hear certain things about who God's character, or they think that, or when they see things like divorce and different, they just immediately think God is like this harsh. He don't love people. He don't care about people. He don't understand my situation. He don't understand the things I'm going through. But it's important to understand when it is like one of the things is important to know when you get married is commitment. That is one of the biggest things that you're making to the person, is a commitment you are making. And I like how you explain, Mark, that when you get married, the actual two people become one. Now, that is obviously a biblical thing, right? No, most people in the world in thinking, well, when I get married, I will become one and all them kind of. Although some people, if you're born like maybe grow up in like more religious Christian kind of thing, they actually quote things like that in their vows, right? They say flesh of my flesh, thing like bone of my bone, and they make statements like that when they're doing the vows, right? But to you, Mark, when it is you when you think about like all the different things that you experience in your life, right? Would you be happy to know that your dad was wrong? What do you think?
Yeah. For me, I think growing up and having God designed children to grow up within a functioning marriage, a healthy marriage, a marriage that was patterned after the things of God. And I think within that too, that is where the children will begin to understand their identity, where a woman will see this, a girl will see the standards that a man, the things that a man should have, the qualities that a husband should have. She could look at her father and see, what is the what are the standards she would set for herself. A boy could look at his mother and see, qualities that he could possibly look for in a wife. And also, when a family is functioning, they're able to really speak things into a child's life. They wouldn't have certain insecurities. A child wouldn't feel like there was lacking love, and a girl wouldn't be vulnerable to certain things. So I think our father being children growing up within a marriage is really a blessing from God.
Yeah.
And I would say I kind of struggle in that area too with my identity because I didn't have that growing
A
up.
solid foundation where you could actually know things about yourself and you get from somebody that who could actually,
Yeah. And to this day, God has helped me in those areas in terms of knowing what a man is. Because sometimes I just feel like I have areas in my life that I don't fully be the way that I should be. Like I didn't struggle with. Sorry.
That's all of us.
Yeah, like I kind of would not be bold. I would tend to be timid and thing at times, and it's something that I kind of break off my life, and but it affect different people in different ways. I tend to feel low self-esteem and those different things. So in a proper marriage is blessings that happens between the man and wife, and also it goes down to the children, and it makes your family unit stronger. And statistics and things show too that children that come from a family with mother and father tend to be a little more successful in life. A good thing that happens too is if a parent gives their children like an inheritance. So you do certain things, you give your children an advantage in life that they wouldn't have start life in a harder position. Then you could actually make your family actually more successful. They gain more ground. There's a lot of different things spiritually and in the natural that's be a blessing if you do things going.
Yeah, wait. Onika, you want to continue your point or go to Eva and you recollect your thoughts or something?
Yeah, we were talking about the scripture in Corinthians. And
that's what we're talking about. Yeah.
Right.
And then you abandon us, but go ahead.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah. And then the other so abandonment is one, and then the other reason is death, of course, right? They say the wife is bound to the husband as long as he's alive. Wow. But if he's passed on,
some people is going to kill them, but then
you're free to remarry. Yes, I actually saw a program. Listen, I saw a True Life. I used to watch these True Life FBI investigation things, and there was this pastor who was so against divorce that he rather kill. This is not a Christian thing. It's those FBI crime real life story document, right? He rather kill his wife than divorce her. So he thought he would get away with the murder, so he didn't think he would be caught. So rather than divorce his wife, he murdered her. But they found out.
But why he didn't want to divorce her?
He's a pastor, and he said I will mash up the church, whatever. And
murdering your wife will mash up the church too.
It wasn't about his heart. It wasn't about his heart. It wasn't about doing right or wrong. It's about the show. You don't want to be a pastor divorced, so you rather kill your wife.
But thank God, everything that in darkness come to the light. But he
got caught, right? Yeah, so biblically, I think those were the only reasons, unless I missed one, Kyle.
Which go over them. That's like a point again that we know biblically.
Infidelity, abandonment, and death.
Right. That is the tree that we know about, basically, that God explained. Right now, it's interesting. The Apostle Paul did that through wisdom. Through wisdom, he said through abandonment. He could, he understand, but he started to back it first by God design of marriage and how he wanted things, right? So he understand that maybe and he didn't say for couples, so if it is you two are believers right now, your husband abandoned you, Paul not even talking about that in your case. He talking about if it is your married to unbelieving husband, and so is the case, the situation. Move on. I seen all Diane giving us some nice things, nuggets. She'd been married for over 60 years to unbelieving husband. She said she get married when. But we're going to really go to the comments and we'll come back to us, guys. You ready, Eva? You take it away.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go up a bit so I try to get as much comments from different persons, alright, guys? So we have from Lisa Beckles. She says, I have a friend who got married and found out months after that the man was a totally different person, had a long-standing mental illness, etc. Just never mentioned these things. I do not think that is grounds for divorce, though. It just highlighted the need to take time to know the person, do research. Katie says, I think people have the ideology that marriage is very scary with a lot of unrealistic and unfair expectations of their partners as opposed to the elements that make a relationship work. Some people don't want to put in the work and have high expectations of their partner. Love is more than a feeling. That's just my 2 cents. Justina says it's not a valid reason for divorce, but it happens even though with the aid of counseling. Celine says we forget that the person we married at 18 isn't the same person 10 years later. So we need to learn to grow as a couple and accept the changes that come to grow together. Let me see. Ayuka says, in my opinion, constant adultery and BV, which I assume is are valid reasons for divorce. Everything else can be worked out with prayer and couples therapy. Let me see who else we have here. Lisa says, I guess now people say divorce because we have just made divorce so easily accepted now, so it's no biggie. Risa Mark, marriage takes love and God is love. Therefore, without him, in trying times, it also takes courage, patience, and putting aside pride. Um, Bridget Smith says a happy life is so real. Husbands and wives make a commitment to stay together through good and bad. But I think God wants us to know we should be loved how God loves the church. Outside of that is not of God. Diane, so this is the comment Kyle mentioned just now. Diane says, hi, all from Northern Illinois, USA. It's been a little time since I last was here. So welcome back, Diane. Praise be. We're happy to have you here. She says she always enjoyed the program about marriage. It takes effort from both sides, but I am unequally yoked. Because became a Christian about 5 years after I married. I have a wonderful husband, loyal and faithful to me, our marriage, and our 5 children who are all grown now. My husband is there always for us, but he doesn't believe in Jesus. I believe that and shared some more things. I'll get to that shortly. Joel James, people don't realize the love you profess you have for your spouse will be tested. Some couples don't realize when they're being tested. Bridget Smith, this is in response to Kyle's question, because Kyle asked what would be a reason for you to leave your child, basically. And Bridget says, I would never leave my child, full stop. Celine says, if they decide to choose another faith because I don't support them being gay. Suzanne, I'm not leaving my sons. Let me see. Good night to you, Karen Anthony. I'm not sure if I ever saw your name here before. If you're first time viewing, I want to say a special welcome to you, Karen. Bridget Smith, if they choose to be, I believe this, if they choose to be gay, kill someone, choose another religion outside of what he grew up in, I would never leave them. The amount of things I did in my youth, and God never left my side. Now I'm a changed person because my mother prayed like a praying mantis and never left my side. So with all this in mind, why would I? She was my Jesus who showed me what true love is. Wow. Let me see. Lovely Rose, good night to you. Not sure if I saw any comments from you earlier on, so I'm saying a special good night to you as well. Diane says that's us, unequally yoked. I prayed for God's blessings over all 5 of our children. Some are in Christ. Only problem lately is that he has gotten angry with our different political views. With all the for some reason the rest of the comments isn't there. My husband doesn't expect a spiritual oneness in Christ, but does believe in the bond of marriage. For sure, in recent crazy things happening in the world seen right now, we do have very different views on some things. Joel James added the answer to a lot of marriage questions are in the vows made at the wedding. Couples forget the exact words used. Let me see, I think I missed something here. Diane says she'll be married 60 years in November. Wow. All right, I just have a few more comments here. Not hearing Eve, but hearing some noises.
She's saying parent now.
Oh, okay.
Eva, I think it have like a ghost in the oven talking, so it is giving some weird noises.
It literally, it does sound like a ghost, like a spiritual something.
You just hear something in the back good.
Someone
Boy, you hearing?
thing was.
Right now I laughing at Eva face because
It literally
it's like
sounds.
everybody hear noises and I hear nothing.
But I know that's why I say
I was hearing some noises earlier.
maybe because I talking and I hear it. I don't know.
Marking with something like any well, where they said only void the noises, the people are not balling and
But there's no wells. There's
Yeah.
in the surrounding. Risa Mark, you would never want to leave your children. You love them no matter what. However, there are times when you may have to leave them or let them go if they're insistent on going their own way. If it's for your safety, that's after having done all you can, intervention, counseling, communicating, praying, etc., in and with love. Then continuing prayer, fasting, and interceding on their behalf. No, Diane, I don't believe we have any other mics anywhere. Everything's supposed to have been stopped. Hopefully, we won't have any more ghost noise. Before we go back to Kyle, because we had quite a few comments here, so I believe you will touch on some of it. I want to do my second giveaway. I have somebody in mind just now. Let's take a second giveaway. Diane, I don't think I know. I remember seeing you viewing in the past, but I don't think we ever were able to give you a giveaway. So congratulations to you, Diane. Thank you for your comments, Diane. Thank you for being transparent. And I pray that some of the things shared in the stream here tonight might help you and your husband and so on in your marriage. And I would encourage you to continue listening, especially to the very end of the segment. Maybe they could shed some light on the situation in your marriage, because this is a different situation that I don't think we really touched on so far in the show. And it is something that is common. Situations where persons get married, believe in certain things or on the same level, and then for exactly what happened with you, you said 5 years after you gave your life to Christ. So Diane, you are our second winner tonight. Congratulations to you. So guys, you'll see again for anybody who tuned in late how easy it is. All you have to do is message us, make a comment, and you can qualify to win a giveaway. All right. So again, congratulations, to Diane. Kyle, we're gonna go back to you. Onika, is that you laughing?
I'm
Yeah, I
laughing
want-
at Easy
I
Rage
want Mark
comment.
to respond to Easy
I
Reach.
know.
I like Easy
Easy
Reach.
Rage, and I get so excited when I see Easy Rage. It has been so long, Easy Rage.
Easy
Welcome back.
Reach, we need to know your real name. And we need to see your face. Go ahead, Mark.
We
Eva,
haven't
yeah.
seen you for a very long time, so welcome back. My wife is really happy that I feel she will leave my tail one day. Okay, so Easy Ray just saying my wife is religious and I'm not. We are happy, but I feel she will leave my tail one day because of my non-believing ways, especially if the kids turn out like me. You think accepting God will solve my problem?
The rage, I would say that you have wisdom choosing a woman that loves God and thing. It's very interesting. The type of woman that you choose. So I would say, you're onto something.
Anyhow,
I would say, if I think accepting God would solve your problem, I think accepting God would solve all your problems in your life, Easy Rage. And you should really go to God with an open heart and really allow Him to, deal with your problems. Trust Him with one thing in your life. Say, Father, say, God, if you're real, I have this going on in my life. You could make a difference. And see if God will come through.
amen. As we going along, I asked the question about with the children, and some people respond and they say they would not do it, right? One person said they would if it is for situations, right? Now the reason why I asked that is Onika, in the Bible, the Bible tells us that we have to love our husband and wife, with actually God kind of love, right? Well, actually everybody, but it talks about that specifically in the Bible when it comes to our marriage relationship, because it's got to deal with Christ and the church and how He gave Himself. And how come some people so easy to just, they would stand and defend their children, but they would just write up their husband and their spouse easy like that? How come?
I think because when it comes to your child, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't expect too much from a child. There's not much you could expect from a baby, from a
Right.
toddler, from even
Well,
a
obviously, when
child,
you say
let's say.
child, I'm not thinking about a little child, right? But like they're big and they're making
Yeah.
choices and they're living their life. What like
Uh,
what? Yeah,
right.
that's like
But I think as a parent,
mm-hmm.
you do see yourself as the one. Of course, you want your children to love you, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
think as a parent, you naturally have the thinking that I am the supplier of love to you. I am the nurturer. I am the one who's financially taking care of you. That's how you grow up. That's how, you know what I mean? So you know that this child, because it starts off a baby, right, is dependent on you. And you kind of grow with that thinking, although there's sometimes that the child big enough to get managed for itself. But you still have that thinking that um even though the child is not giving you that kind of, let's say, love in return or whatever, as a parent, you still have that nature to give, to nurture, to love, right? That's the normal parent. We know it have some whack ones out there, right? But I think in a marriage, people go into marriage to get, not to give. They go
Right.
into a marriage. So when they stop getting what they think they need from that person, they're ready to throw them away because you're not satisfying my needs. So what's the point? You're not making me happy. This is not what I thought marriage was gonna be. You're no longer meeting my financial needs. Let's say a woman who get married and the man was financially well off and the person enjoyed a particular lifestyle. And this happens a lot. And the
Right.
person is no longer in that financial position. And so they're catching their tail now. And the wife would say, well, I didn't sign up for this. I did not sign up to catch my tail. Right. And so that means what is a situation there where you looking to see what I could gain out of this marriage, not what I could give. Right. And from the
Right.
time that person starts to stop meeting your needs, it's time to move on because it had no profit here. Basically, people say it had no profit here. It had no
Right.
profit here for me again. So a lot of times, Kyle, it's really not love. When people get married, it's really not for love. It is really a codependent relationship they get into.
Right.
I I take what I could get from you and vice versa. But from the time they stop, you
Mm-hmm.
stop getting that, supply of love or supply of whatever money or supply of attention, or they stop rubbing your foot, or the wife say, well, I ain't cooking again, whatever it is you getting out of it. When that supply done, you're done with the woman. But with our children, we don't see it like that. We will go
Wow.
down, they could come home and you could be 60 years old and your son say, mommy, I'm coming for food. Okay, he ain't doing nothing for you. That
Mm-hmm.
son ain't doing nothing for you. He ain't even helping you. He move on. But if he say he coming for food, yeah, you're excited. You cook up a pot. You don't care. You just want to see your son. You love him, right?
Right.
Um, but unfortunately, people get married not for love. Kyle, they get married to satisfy that need for love, which is a
Right.
big difference. Big, big difference. And whatever they think love is, however they think love looks like, whatever it looks like, they go into a marriage trying to get that, to fulfill something, to feel complete or whatever it is, or to
Mm-hmm.
finally feel love, to finally find this person who gonna treat me right and never leave me and all this kind of thing. It's not,
Yeah.
which is really selfish. It is. I mean, it's people get married
It's
for
right
selfish
because you
motives.
when you think about it, right? Nix and Mark and Eva, that imagine like let's say we just deal with these reasons. Remember we talk about adultery and all those things. If you want to move on, it's clear that that is something different, right? But like think about the ordinary life that a lot of people like maybe like I told you from some counselors they told us that one of the biggest things is just natural life that they can't work out problems, right? Imagine you are a mother and you're cooking and doing and your husband is doing nothing and you want to get divorced and you're separated, right? Do you know you would still be doing every single thing? Because he
Yeah.
go, you know what I mean? But it's just so, you know what I mean? It's so hard to love somebody, in that kind of way when it is maybe you're not getting something in return. That's
Correct.
people that it's very hard for them to maybe love somebody unconditionally. I think
Yeah.
that is where a lot of people
Yeah.
go wrong. And Mark, yeah, sure when you have a child, you would love them unconditionally, right?
Yeah, that is the plan. You
That is
know?
the plan, right? And like
Yeah.
Unika saying that is something that is comes from birth. Like like it's a natural thing. Sadly today, I was actually gonna jump in and see this, right? Sadly today, that Unika is saying that a lot of people they have something to give, and they have it, and which is very true. But today in society, we seeing that a lot of women know they have nothing to give, and that's why they kill their children. They
Oh
want to
my
have
gosh.
abortion. They want to do this
Yeah.
and this, yeah, you know, and they do all
Yeah.
kind of madness. And hence the reason for them is easy not to love. And you realize how abortion is really, really a lack of love. They really don't care about, and it really is a selfish. You know, it's a really you know, it's something, and that's what they say. My body, my choice is really a selfish decision you are making, and you actually don't care about the other person's life. So you know
Yeah.
that so if somebody that's a serious thing to think about when it comes to lack of love, right? Because that's like the ultimate thing of evil. They just watch a child kill them because you think there's so many people life work out when it is they had a child. They even get some more motivation to do things to even make them get serious in life, because there's party and they had to get serious with life and really find some kind of sense of love. So it's never a reason to actually commit abortion in that kind of way, right? But the reason why I bring up that point is for the exact same thing, Onika, that people are willing to put up with all kind of garbage from their children, but they are not willing to do it because there's something unique about love that's chosen. There's something
Right.
unique that when you choose, because remember your children, even though you choose to have a child, it's a decision you make, and it's something that's part of you. So here's my
Yeah.
question. I don't have the answer, right? It just come to me just now, right? When I was thinking and you was talking, right? Would you say that or maybe ask anybody could get this input, right? We know in the Bible, the two become one. They are actually one person, right? We know with children, they are not one with us. They are not, but they come from us. As a matter of fact, they come from both of you. So as much as you hate the man or you hate the woman, when you look at them, you see them, right? So which one bond you think is very strong? Which one is there one stronger than one? Because we know spiritually, the both of them become one, and hence the reason why sometimes it's very hard to love the other person because you feel like you want to change them, but you can't because there's obviously a different relationship you have with your spouse, right? But what would you think? Which one bond you think stronger from your opinion? And I ask them because it's not something I'll put you on the spot for that, right? So I don't know. But what you think? Maybe Mark and Eva can get your opinion on that. What you think? Which one you think bond is actually stronger? Is that with your children, or is it with your husband or your wife?
Do you mean, are you asking which one should be stronger or which one naturally ends up being stronger? Which one should be stronger?
Which one? By according to the Bible, like biblically, it's supposed to like when they talk
the
about
husband and wife. Yeah, your husband and wife.
The husband and wife supposed to be stronger than your children.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no instant nowhere in the Bible where you go and find God saying you and your child become one. That child, your body is his body, or your son body is yours is his. Let no man separate, no way. But listen, the Bible went as far as to liken marriage to his Christ's relationship with the church. Right. So it is the bond, and then that intimacy. When the husband and wife come together, there's something that you could never do, God forbid, with your child. Where that intimacy, that is something that brings a husband and wife. It's supposed to be such a sacred, beautiful thing that you're supposed to wait on for marriage, right? And that bond that you share with
what is that thing? Mark knows what that thing is.
I know.
Oh, okay. Sex. I know Mark don't like to use that word now, but go ahead.
Intimacy. Sorry, making love, not sex, because you can have sex with anybody and there's no bond, right? Something to spiritual could happen, yes, but in terms of emotional, you can have sex with somebody and there's no bond. But to make love or to engage in that intimacy with your husband or your wife, that is something that you could never experience with your children, and that is part of the oneness as well. And so that's a special bond that only a husband and wife supposed to share, and so it's stronger than a child.
It's supposed to be, at least for you, that is actually yourself you're hating or you're loving at this moment in time, right?
Yeah.
It's just interesting to know that you could that's how God designed the marriage to be, that the two become one, and it's really an interesting thing to think of. But it's interesting to see how society would be able to, or even humans be able to just love their child unconditionally, but they can't do it to a husband or a wife. They can't. It's something in them they just refuse to do it, and that's why I actually like to hear stories of people who went through life and they hear how they overcome and they hear how they I think in our heart, one of the biggest things we look for in marriage is a commitment. It's like somebody who really stick by you through everything, because everybody must understand at some point you're not perfect, you're not good, and this person will say you, and you would like to know that the person you're marrying, Mark, is the person who will love you even when things not good. There's somebody that this person really committed to you, that that you have a ride or die. That is what they say, Mark. You found that, Mark? I know you found that.
I think what is unique with a husband and a wife is that a child cannot choose but be your child. But a
Right.
wife could have chosen somebody else, or a husband, but they chose you out of everybody else in the whole world to be one with you. And I think that is a special thing that comes with being married, I
Well, I
would
guess
say.
some people would say when they choose you, I could unchoose you. When I follow you, I could unfollow you.
Yeah, but
It's true. That I mean, that's the point of being chosen. That is something that you made a decision to love, and hence the reason is it has to do with covenant, commitment, all those different things. It's something you must really take into consideration before you get married. That is one of the biggest thing I think, even for men. That's why for men, a lot. I think like obviously for women, but for men, that is the biggest thing men have a problem. Like a woman give you a list of things. They see unfaithfulness of a man find that is the biggest problem I think for men when it comes to like in a marriage. That is the number one thing most of the times a man look for in a woman. That's somebody who has that kind of character and different things like that. Because most people really look for a commitment. They look for in their heart, they look for somebody who they could, make this journey on in life with. And even if things not good or not bad, we will grow together. At least I know we could walk out this journey together. And I think some people don't really have that. They say that in words though. But when it comes to
Yeah.
the reality of life, that is not easy for them to do. When it comes to, even broke times like Onika say, when he used to travel and he used to go Disney World and now things not happening and it could really rock your world over. But it is you watch
Yeah.
it and things not
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, yeah. A lot of people say, listen, I could get next man to mind me. Because most of the times is you are, well, I mean, some guys marry sugar mummies, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just about selfishness and they're not willing to make the sacrifices necessary in whatever hardship they're going through. And they
Mm-hmm.
just literally say, I didn't sign up for this. I don't want this. And they move on.
Wow.
Sad.
So
Selfishness.
what would obviously in the Old Testament, there's something I actually in researching it. I need to sit down and read about more, right? Because there are a lot of things with Moses give a letter for like when you talk about divorce, and so it's
Yeah.
interesting to go back and read that they would know the thinking of certain situations and even how maybe what God allowed then. They say, all right, this is what, and they could see God's heart in somebody's situation because people think the law is not. I reflect, no, there are a lot of things in the law that is for wisdom. It's for love. It's to protect us. It's to help us. That there's benefits of certain things, and they could actually read it and see like what some of the things mean, right? And in talking in the show today, we talk about some of the biblical reasons. That's the idea behind the whole show, right? So my question to you, Onika, right, is people who may be going through like how Diane gave a situation with her husband, and people go through all kind of different situations. Everybody, like you said earlier on, everybody's situation is different. Everybody have a different circumstance going on right now in their life when it comes to getting married or vice versa, married people. But I want to ask you to address maybe the people who married that maybe they have going through a difficult situation right now and maybe something with abuse and maybe they want to get divorced. What would be your opinion in a situation? First, to begin, if it is obviously this is broad, right? Because it's something specific, right?
Yeah.
What do you think that somebody should just get divorced right away, or should somebody maybe seek like maybe some kind of separation or help to really help
Yeah,
them?
no. I don't think, I mean, unless, listen, I could think of a few. I could
Mm-hmm.
think of a few situations where you might just want to call it quits. I could think of, I mean, and I've heard stories, like I've
Yeah.
heard stories of women who walk in on their husband with another man, right? Walk in and saw it with another man. And they did not leave. They did not divorce. They, in fact, stayed with them for many years after that, hoping and praying that that he would change, right?
Me.
I don't know if I could do that, Kyle. Mark, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I walk. You know what I mean? I don't know. And
Well,
I
I'm
think,
not talking about sexual thing like like which is maybe a clear decision somebody could make.
no,
'Cause
I know, but I
actually
just
that
saying.
question after. Yeah, go ahead.
I just saying there are some scenarios where I could just see it saying, nah, because let's say the situation with your husband is really was gay and you didn't know, he puts in your life in danger because there could be sexual diseases involved because he, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know I advising somebody in that situation to get out of it immediately, whether it means separating, but certainly, yeah, anyway. No, I would not advise, and I never do. That thought just came to me when you asked what situation. I seen myself packing clothes and thing one time and I gone. But
I'll talk to the
I
pastor. Anyway,
I
you
so
get
what
that. Nothing. You good?
Okay.
You
All right.
good?
So I want to ask Ava a question now. If she come home and mark, but then God forbid, let's not even make these
Yeah.
scenarios, right?
Yeah, you good?
Yeah.
Yes.
So no, I would not, and I do not advise Mark.
Um,
I would not advise, and
everyone-
I don't think I've ever advised anybody.
Also,
To
now
just
mention,
get
I remember you said earlier that when I started talking to you, is that you I remember you said that is something you would have to work out
me.
earlier.
Me?
Yeah, you said no. Remember Onika used to say that if something like that happened, she can't just
Oh
get
yeah.
divorced right away now. So it's just interesting to hear you say that now.
No. I said if I come and meet with another man,
Oh, so if it was another woman.
somehow I would let me get some help. I
Continue. Go
Man,
ahead.
anyway, anyhow,
Good,
you
good,
come
good,
now,
good.
man. Oh gosh.
Alright.
Anyway,
Good.
yeah. So right, I would not advise somebody on the onset just like that. Hey, get a divorce, right?
Mhm.
Even for abuse. What I would advise that person is to immediately get out of the situation. So immediately take yourself out of danger for abuse, right? Move out. Don't stay with somebody who has abused you, even if it's one slap or whatever. I'm sorry. If my daughter, you'll think about it, ladies. If your daughter come to you and say your daughter married 2-3 years and she say, mommy, my husband slapped me, or he cuffed me, he pull my hair, or he throw me on the wall, whatever. You go and say, okay, baby, pray. You pray and work it out. Pray that God. No, you're gonna tell your child, come, girl, come home, pack your things and come and stay with me, right? Because
Yeah.
you want to make sure they're safe and they're not in danger, and that person don't put their life in danger, right? But I would not say immediately divorce, right?
Right.
Even for infidelity. If it is, I was actually listening to a woman earlier, and she was saying her first husband was a serial cheater, right? Like they have serial murder. She said he was a pastor, and he had
Whoa.
several.
A lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
pastors, boy.
Yeah.
Good.
Listen. You see, a lot of women get tired up, right? They feel because the man of God, perfect, now looking nice there in the pulpit and come out with his suits and things. So yeah. Anyway,
Well, actually, it's really and truly isn't many believers is the people who sort of put up a show. And this man is
yes,
gone.
yeah,
He know,
yeah,
but anyhow, go ahead, yeah.
yeah. So she said her husband was a serial cheater. In a case like that, I would tell the woman, listen, you don't have to suffer through that. I call that suffering. You cheat
Yeah.
on me once, you cheat on me twice. You come back. Now it is a joke.
True.
I go on. You
True.
see, yeah, I listen.
Hosea is a unique guy. Go ahead. Anyhow.
I watch me care about Hosea. Let Hosea stay right there. Hosea serve his purpose. We understand Christ. He serve his
Okay.
purpose. But don't try to put me in Hosea's shoes at all. At all.
I just said
Alright?
Hosea is a
Right?
unique guy. That's
I
all I
don't try
say.
to put no woman hair in Hosea's shoes or no
I
man.
just find that
Right?
a unique guy.
If
You
your
know, man?
wife or your husband is continually don't bring Mark anything either, because Mark not on your side. Right?
You
But
don't
cheat on
find
him.
Hosea is a unique guy, Mark?
Right? Mark not on your side with that one.
Mark
Okay, but
find he's
cheat
a
on
unique guy. Trust me.
if
Go ahead.
Ava cheat on Mark once, twice, three times, come now, man. Listen. Anyway, so I would advise that person no. Right? Let your
Right.
husband right? That's too much to bear, man. And again, it's you're putting yourself in danger because you out there having sex. You don't even know if you find out about three, but you really don't know what's going on, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But aside from something like that and stuff,
But
I would tell
here this
people.
question, right? I mean, we on the
Mhm.
topic, right? I just want to bring it up, right? What about if you find out about everything 10 years after the marriage? Like, maybe he stopped now, or maybe he cannot slow down now, and you find out he was sleeping with about 100 women within their 10 years of marriage.
How I
Mark, answer that.
you have the
Ava.
option. If I find out, you are the option now, because the Bible say once somebody was unfaithful, it never say when. You could leave and remarry if you want.
No, but Mark, she changed. She no longer doing it. She tell you, but she didn't know how to tell you, but she
It still
changed.
don't mean I don't have the option now.
But what would be the point? Or their marriage going good, eh? This was
Because
in the past.
remember, Mark, everything to you going good enough. It's
Yeah.
just like you don't know that this person was cheating on you right through, and then
Yeah.
after the event, she come and sit down and say, "I have something to tell you." For the
Well,
past
you
5 years
cheat
of
and
our
open the
marriage.
door. You cheat and open the door, so let me make my choice now.
And I was just asking, maybe online you can tell me your thoughts too, right? You're married for somebody like 10 years, and then, but boom, you find out that is the case. Where is it? Because everything was going good. You was happy, and you was real in love, and I would like to know maybe what you would do in a situation like that.
I've spoke to people with situations like that.
Do you know it have people like that, right? That
the person decided to open up like in the marriage, and because they couldn't
yeah.
take it anymore, it was a secret, and they came out and they told their spouse. It's a tough thing to deal with. Happy or not, it's tough. You feel betrayed. You feel. Oh my gosh, like
that could be worse at all. Because because remember your idea of the person.
Yeah, boy.
You looking at this person as so loving and caring, and at least when it is you get cheated on, and you know things was messed up. You know things messed up, and you know what fixing it would look like. Be imagine to you know what fixing your relationship. The person is call you on time. They just do it. They communicate with you. And never had a question.
How do you ever trust that person again? Because you never even found out they were so good that you didn't know they were cheating. How do I trust you now? How do I trust you moving forward?
Because both situations, if you knew what things was messed up and they get cheated on, you had to figure out the trust part to get back together, right? So you can imagine to figure out to trust the like what happened. I mean, obviously to some degree, most likely that person was being maybe a little naive. I don't know. You know what I mean? They maybe see certain signs or they trust them to that point where they even question certain things, right? So maybe you know I could see one, but that's a weird thing, but if that to happen. But yeah, we just want to say
Basically, basically my answer to that is separation is an option, and it's one that more marriage couples could use. And so I don't ever push anybody to divorce. But there are situations where living together is horrible. It's toxic.
Wow.
And separation is the better thing, you know, while working things out. So sometimes it's difficult to work. Things get so bad that it's difficult to work things out staying together. And so you spend some time apart and gather yourself, gather your thoughts, get counseling. But the idea of separation, though, shouldn't be just, I can't take it no more, gone. The thought should be, we need help. I want to save my marriage. I don't necessarily want to divorce, but I can't live in this situation again. Let's get help. It shouldn't be, I just go on my way, you go on my way, and I live in my life. That's not the kind of separation that I'm talking about. It's a separation to reconcile with the hope of reconciliation.
Yeah, even when Paul gave the example, Unika, when I read earlier about with the separation or the abandonment, when they talk about the unbelieving husband and the wife, is interesting. When it was talking about it wasn't talking about not with love and this, even though he talking about for the woman to do that, it was really to save his soul, you know, to help him to really, you know, that the kind of level of love he's supposed to be operating with, that you looking at this person gonna be for eternity, you know what I mean? Well, also, Mark, when it comes to, I mean, I guess we kind of answered, but I still like to hear your thoughts on it because everybody enjoying it. You know, I see Joel say that wouldn't change your response because you spend time thinking about it and you were still making, I mean, like when you sit down and you know the person, right? But I know, I saw interesting couple that some time back. The guy was a doctor and his wife was an escort. And he didn't know nothing about that.
What? A real story?
That's a real story. He was a doctor, so he going to work and he doing whatever. And remember that time out, but she was working as an escort. And how you find out was somebody like something revealed that is what she used to do. You want to know something? And she was also a Miss America. She was she went up to go for Miss World or one of them, and she was one of the Miss Americas. And you know then the story bust that is what she was doing. She was an escort. So she would have done, obviously, she might have seen certain things like public, like, you know, you're doing photos and whatever. And, you know, so he knows she have a certain lifestyle, that kind of way, but he didn't know that is how she used to make real money. She is through being an escort. And when you find out that, you know, because remember, if it's a doctor, sometimes you get called late and you basically have hours you just, you know, you're not accounted for. And you when you're working and you're operating and doing things, nobody know what, I mean, you don't have time to say, and wife and call and, you know what I mean? Are you trying to save somebody's life? And while you're trying to save somebody's life, she may be trying to make another life. I don't know what she's trying to do, but you know what I mean? And it's just interesting that you know, that people could really have a real secret life out there and they're just living it. and the other person could not know about it totally. Like even a simple thing like a businessman could be traveling the world and doing different things, and that's his life. Even though it might be a legit reason why, and you know that this is what your husband have to do, that to go away, that to do, people can live that secret life and not know what is happening. But Mark, what do you think about somebody who maybe get, they cheat on you? Do you think it's easy to just reconcile with them?
Honestly, to me, I would say it's a difficult thing because you would love the person regardless of the situation. But when it comes to that level, I would say betrayal, it could be challenging. You would want to see that person, if you're going to stay with that person in a relationship, you would want to know that they're repentant, and you would have to have practical things in place for you to actually kind of rebuild your trust with that person. And that is where that would be the challenging thing, really, to forgive, to really forgive and to
rebuild trust.
Yeah, but to forgive. that is going to be.
I think I could forgive her, but you see the trusting part. I could forgive. I could, I could say, gosh, all right, I ain't gonna hold this against you, but I don't know if I could trust you again. Every time your phone ring and you look at it a certain way, or you hide, you know what I mean? I will have thoughts. That's a tough thing to get over, though. Wow. To rebuild the trust, that part, I think that's real difficult.
Yeah.
To totally trust you.
Yeah, I think that's really the issue, and Mark trust that person again. But would you say you could maybe jump to a quicker conclusion of your decision making if it is you don't have children?
Somewhat.
Because you're married for 3 years and you finally go one cheat on you or whatever, and it can be difficult if you really love the person. But when it comes to a family, that can maybe complicate things more, and you want about the children, if you want to save the marriage or whatever, the kind of thing like that, right? But I could see some people just say, no, 2 years we married and you cheating on me? Adios. I good. 2 years, girl? You could even give me 10 years of your life? 2 years? I wasn't, all right, you have fun. You know what I mean? And it just move on one time, Mark. I can see people doing that, and it's easier for them to do that because, they just feel like, because some people, marriage hard. It's a hard thing, and I think it's never a reason to cheat on somebody.
Yeah.
Never a reason. If it is you don't like how things going, you're like, just separate or whatever and just move on. It is never. We hear this online, right, guys? There's never a reason to cheat on somebody. There's never a reason to just watch somebody and hurt them in that kind of way. That's that kind of hurt that is very bad. That is really scar people, is break them. Because imagine you put all your trust and all into somebody and really love them and care about them, and then they betray you like that. That is something, that could really scar you. And I think it's never oops. That is one thing, is never oops. Cheating on somebody. You make a practical decision to do it. It's one thing you can say oops, maybe after you're close to somebody and you can maybe detach from that, right? But it's never oops when it is you just going and sleep with somebody, and that's so I encourage everybody to never try to in your bed, if it is you're close, go to someone and talk to the person and say, boy, this marriage is not working out and this is how I feel. I'll be honest, I would rather hear that, Mark, that somebody come and tell me this is how I feel, and even if maybe I feel it for somebody else or whatever, never think I rather hear that than somebody come and tell me I was sleeping around with somebody. And believe it or not, a lot of times it's be the people that sleep around with people that you know. It's be people in your circle. And it's just
that is true.
Yeah.
The much times I've heard people say, and he was with my best friend. He was with my co-worker. Just last week I was talking to a girl. She have to work and watch this person across from her desk every single day, knowing her husband sleep with her. Well, he had an affair with her. It was like a 2-3 year affair. And this woman working in the same office with her. And she had no idea for 3 years, and they're still working together. So her torment now is a good job, right? Her torment now is, she can't take it, just seeing her every day. And she's like, do I leave my job? My job is a good job, but she can't deal just seeing her, and the woman not letting her forget it now. Not by verbally, but she have even though her husband no longer with him, and I'm like, my God, she thinks people have to go through. It's crazy.
I just wanted to answer something. Well, Easy Rage had a question, so I just want to know if I could answer it real quick.
You good, bro?
I mean, you can answer too. But he was saying if every child, right, when we are somewhat children, is a gift from God, how come God would send it to somebody that would have bought it? Well, how I look at that, because that's something that I would have thought about as well, is that God has given us He gave us free choice. He literally gave us free choice with many of the things that are precious in general and precious to Him. Life is precious, and God has given us a free choice to obey Him. He said, "Thou shalt not kill," right? And we in a position that we could do things that God wouldn't want to happen. And I would just say that a lot of things happen in the earth, and God, if He had His way, He would have never wanted it to happen. But God wants us to make our choices from our heart. And that's
Right.
how come murder is possible. That's how come unfaithfulness is possible. That's how come God allow there are many different religions. There are many different things that happen because we see God heart that he doesn't want to force us in doing things. He wants us to choose Him because we want to. He wants us to follow Him because we want to, and that's how these things become possible, unfortunately. That is how Satan could rebel and it could have a devil in the first place, and it have sickness, it have different things happen because God is not a controlling God, but God is a loving God, and He gives us the option to follow Him or not. So that is how abortion is possible. I don't know if you want to say anything concerning that.
I would just say in God's sovereignty, that is not God making that decision to send somebody to, you know what I mean? That God set up certain things in motion and plan. It means that as a man and a woman, God designed, and in other words, like gravity. That is it, that God designed it. There's laws, there are things God put in place, and even so in creation, one of the things God designed and put into place is a woman, ovaries, man, yeah, come together, they would have a child. You know what I mean? That is God's design, and that's how he patterned it. So people can make decisions, they could go and do different things, and even though this God's spirit gives life to people, that is how God set into motion. That is the kind of responsibility God put on man, that he kind of not necessarily just the gift God gave men, that we can make eternal beings, that we can make somebody who would last forever. So if there's anybody even listening who had a miscarriage or aborted, that your child is in heaven with God, is a real person. It's not, you know what I mean? That your child will just be conceived when it is when it born out of your womb. It starts first spiritually, and then afterwards, God, the decisions happen after that, right? So it's important to understand that a physical situation could trigger a spiritual thing. You get where I'm coming from, right? That on this earth, we have the ability to, in the same way, think about it in the other way. Jesus came and He says the kingdom of heaven is here now, and He had the ability to tap into heaven and bring it on earth. He had that kind of ability, and even so, human beings have the ability to make a choice like that. Mark and Eva could go and have a child right now. They could go, and God has given men that kind of love and dominion on the face of the earth, and He said, "Be fruitful." Because I forget men, think about animals. Animals go, they have children, they make different things, and it's the same way with God loves us, but as we as humans, we become so evil and become so perverse that we would like to wipe it out. And we even see from since before that was Satan's plan. If you really read the Old Testament, you'd really see how Satan has been trying to attack the family and generations in a big way. He would set up certain things to affect generations upon generations when it comes to all kind of different things spiritually, and it's important to know these things. So I don't know if there's anything else you want to mention before we go to the topic and close off, Onika. I don't know if anything you want to share on the whole show. It was a very interesting show.
Yeah, listen, just that
Yeah, something I had was rubbing, it was making a noise, but go ahead.
Sorry, oh gosh, I had the headphones hanging, so it was hitting against the. Why y'all didn't tell me sooner? Come on.
So we're doing it right now, so go ahead.
It is?
Yeah, no. Something with it dragging, and it could be an earring. I don't know what it is, but and you guys hear that noise, right? Like
I had on my earrings all the time.
All right, I just telling you, I don't know. Don't beat me. I need to leave this. I need to leave this friendship again.
Yeah.
All right.
You good? Yeah,
the disciples, when Jesus answered the question about divorcing your wife, the disciples say, "Well, it's best we don't get married," right? Because they understood the seriousness of making a decision to become one with somebody, and just trying to tear that apart and just trying to. They understood the seriousness in that moment, and they was, and many people don't understand when they are getting married, the commitment that they're making, the vows that they're making before God, the covenant that they are making. So I would just like to say to the people who are married and probably struggling or thinking about that, about divorce, it's not something to be taken lightly. It is really not something God likes. It is permitted because He understands, the hardness of our hearts, but it should not be so. Um, there's no part of divorce. A lot of people get divorced and they say, okay, they can't wait for the divorce to finish, and they feel that they will have some freedom on divorce. But ripping your flesh apart could never end nicely. There's always going to be pain attached to it. There's going to be, if there are children involved, it is impossible for it to be a situation ending well. Your children are going to be torn apart. They're going to be confused. So divorce is in my opinion, really a last option. And we saw the valid reasons why. And to people who are unmarried, I would say, to choose wisely and to take your time and let it be a prayerful decision that you make. Don't rush. Don't take things at face value, and seek God. God is more than willing, and He wants very much to guide you. He don't make the decision for you, but God wants to guide you. And if there are any red flags, God wants to show you. He's not going to just leave you defenseless and say, well, you work it out now. God actually wants to help you in your decision making. So don't exclude Him, but certainly don't take that step of marriage. Don't take it lightly, because we just get along. And oh gosh, he's so cute. And he does make me laugh. Oh gosh. And he just really make me laugh, boys. So that's why I love him. Somebody told me that. I said, so what about the person? She said he does really make me laugh. I was like, that is. She was like dead serious. That was her biggest thing. He does really make her laugh.
Amen.
Needless to say, their lives was a living hell. Okay, but
she laughed at it.
But
Go ahead.
they're still married. They're still married. But anyway, not a happy one.
Okay.
Yeah. So take your decisions. Don't make that decision lightly. It's not a joke. It's not Ken and Barbie. So yeah.
When I made this statement, Unica, we will go to you and Mark, Eva and Mark after, right? I just went and looked for the verse quick where it says where Jesus was talking about when they ask him that question. And it's interesting, Jesus' response. He said, not everyone can accept this statement.
Right.
So my question is, what statement is that? Is it that it should be a car divorce and you marry? And that is not what he talking about it. He said, only those whom God help. Some are born eunuchs, some are being made eunuchs by others, and some choose not to marry. For the sake of the kingdom of heaven, let everyone accept this who can. So he addressing the fact that because there's a natural side of life where people meet each other and they want to get married, and that's how God designed it. But then there's some reasons why some people don't get married, which is maybe some people born without certain parts of their body and don't have certain drives in certain kind of areas. And then vice versa, there's some people who made that way. People, the religions, they do that. And then there's some people may have a gift from God that they've designed that. Or sorry, not a gift from God. They decide to watch me. Like Paul, I know when I get married, I'm going to serve God with all my heart. And I'm going to trust Him, right? And the Bible and Jesus is saying not many people could accept. So it would seem that the majority of people will accept, even though they try to rebel against. You hear what he addressing a heart matter? Even when you hear all of that, and the apostles hear all of that. Still a woman, boy. You catch that cover. In your heart, if it is you have that natural desire. In your heart, you would override even knowledge. You would override words. And it's important to know that you must make some kind of practical decisions when you decided, Mark. It is important. And I would like to encourage everybody to know this, right? That God is not the one against you, and never in a situation feel like and I only doing this because God. You catch where I'm coming from, right? Like you feel about cheating on me and about one moment and putting up a show, or you're going through abuse, and no, you make your practical decisions and make. I would tell you never just write off somebody, and because especially if you have children with somebody, you actually cannot never write off the person, because whether you agree to it or not, the father or the mother is going to be a part of their life. They will. In part of them, they would want to see their mother, especially if it is the children, never got the same experience you had with the father. You catch what? Even though like he was abusive to you, if it is he never really treat his children, like he might have say things towards them, but a part of them would long and love to be with their father, and you can't really override or change that. So I encourage everybody to make practical decisions. That nothing is wrong if you all want to get separated for some time and you want to get reconciled. You know, you're trying to figure out a way to reconcile your marriage. Sometimes that could take some time. Sometimes that would take some effort. Sometimes it would take, maybe some, sometimes some people is really see the consequence they live in it until they're gone. You get what I mean? Some people is, like if it is he has a wife and, he abusing you and different things. Sometimes some people will really see that they love you. But, people are, let's be real, right? A man in lashing a woman or a woman in lashing a man unless they have problems. There's something, you are not really the problem. It's something in them because as much I'm engaged, I'll get married soon. It have nothing in me would watch me to, because that's not in me. I never want somebody I'll cuff them in the face. My wife dies our arguments. We and I watch when I cuff you. That's not in me to do. You catch where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah.
But only unless you have a problem, that is where you resort to do certain things, and it means that somebody must make a certain decision in their life for help, and and. The end of the day, like Ava was saying earlier on, you love this person for some time, you get married, and all of a sudden the love gone. No, there's situations that arise and problems that causing certain things to conflict, and sometimes love
to make your heart.
Yeah, and
I think your heart literally gets hard.
And I think it's important for everybody who listening here online. That point we made earlier about hardening your heart, that in life you really must understand the end times and what is happening in the world. The world is lacking love. All the issues are happening in the world right now. What the people are, what we need is yeah. What we really need is really God's love. That's what the world really needs. And it seems like, because remember the time is approaching where we're coming closer to the Antichrist. And he is not bringing love on the face of the earth. So it means that we are approaching that time on the face of the earth where you realize, when you hear all kind of people problems, and to them it seems real. And to them, you can never say, you're lacking love. Like, some things I show maybe Onika over the years, you might have go through with Kerwin or maybe Mark with anything, and you hear people problem and you say, well, and you can't love this person, like how Onika would say, maybe she's had a wash wears, and you say to yourself, well, so wait now, you don't value people in that kind of way. Like, you don't really see somebody and you really love them. And hence the reason we really need to find is the love of Christ. And hence the reason why God had a problem, that he really was expecting believers to have a new form of love towards each other. That he expected in the Old Testament that that's how people used to operate. They had a hard heart, let me move on. And he expected in this new covenant that we could have a love that does not come from your mommy, it does not come from a daddy, it comes from God. And it comes from the love of Christ. When you see him on the cross and you realize this life is too short, there's much more to life than what it is we experience. You start to get love from him. So I encourage everybody who's listening online to really examine your heart and see if it is in your life you really lack love. That's a hard thing to face, but it's just a reality you really need to confront in your life. And also to stop evaluate people in the correct way. The Bible says love is patient, is kind, is different. Somebody can not gentle, but they can have other things in their life that they're doing correct. So some marriage, you can have things in your life where the person doing that, but you making this into one big mountain of a problem. And sometimes, all right, somebody have an issue. Oh gosh, but you telling you, do you know to your husband you nagging him right through that issue to him, but he still pop at it, or vice versa for a woman, you doing all the kind of man, and a woman is still pop at it. And sometimes we need to really love people where they're at in life and understand that the next 5-10 years it wouldn't be the same way. That some people could grow, situations could happen, and that's a bigger journey and that's a journey you decide to go on with your partner, Mark. That's a journey you decide to take with Eva. That you're gonna have children, you're gonna start a family, and it ain't gonna be easy. It ain't gonna be, because it never. Think about it, Mark. God can't control you. You could do what you want. You feel you could go and control Eva and tell you what this and that, and you can't do that. You wake up and it'll be frustrating. It'll be frustrating, Mark, when you're trying to get somebody on your page or trying to get them to see what it is you saying and they're not doing it. It can be frustrating. But never take that as a situation of the person don't love me.
Yeah.
Right.
The person could just be at this point ignorant. It could be, but don't necessarily mean that it means they could be missing something in their life right now that they need. And maybe and they need that really most of the times from God. It don't mean that you are a personal problem or some kind of thing in your life. It means that don't take it personal when you say the person hate me. That's not the case. It's really and truly because what you really seeing is unless this person do this, and that, then I'm love and happy. And if
Yeah.
that is the case, well, it's better you just stay with Jesus the rest of your life. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
yeah, it's better you stay with Jesus for the rest of your life. And hence the reason Jesus said that that's not the case. So you have some things to deal with. You have to deal with a hardened heart. You have to deal with the fact that you want to get married soon and you want to be in love with somebody, and you have to see the choices and the decision making that comes with that. That's not an easy choice because it wasn't easy for God. God understood that he had to give up his life to save us. The Bible said before the foundation of the world was laid, the lamb was already sacrificed. So God understood before any decision make to make man, he understood that he would have to give of himself everything to be with us. And hence the reason God expects that from men, and that when we get married, we're supposed to have this intention that I would give up anything in my life to be and to save this marriage and to love you, and So I encourage everybody to really take those words to heart. And Mark and Eva, you'll close up the show and you take it away.
All right, we have quite a few comments here. I will try to as many as I can. Let me see. Mark, everything you want to say before I go to your comments?
I just wanted to say, with all the talk about divorce and the issues that could lead up to it, I want to say marriage. The reason why God is for marriage is because it's a blessing, and if if done God's way, marriage is something that's such a blessing in your life. It adds to your life. It brings forth godly children. You're able to do things for the kingdom of God. And as a man, I would say a wife really builds you up. A wife helps you to accomplish God's will and also blesses your life in many ways. And for those of us in situations where things is not the way that it should be, God knows what it's like to, even if your husband is an unbeliever, God loved us when we didn't even believe in him. At one point, I was an unbeliever that God loved, and his love brought me to him. So, don't underestimate what God could do. In Corinthians, it was saying that, the saved person actually sanctifies the unsaved person. So, trust God to work in your marriage if that's the situation. And other than that, take God's advice and avoid certain issues. And yeah, marriage is also a blessing in many areas. So, be encouraged with that.
So we gotta go to some comments now. We had Bridget saying, I'm engaged on discovering things about my fiance that I didn't know existed, but our communication is bringing him along. Especially where church is concerned, I show him the importance of our son loving and knowing God. So when things get tough, he would now turn to God. The saying, the little child shall lead them. Joel James says vows are not taken seriously. Diane says that's correct. Wrong understanding of what marriage is, not grasping love, instant gratification stuff. Bridget, I think peer pressure causes some marriages to take place. Some say they are getting old and think it's time running out, and wrong decisions are made despite the wrongs that are seen. Easy Rage. Mark answered that comment on Easy Rage. I think Kyle also touched on it. Recent Mark, mental illness and substance abuse can cause separation also between children and parents and between marriages as well. Bridget says narcissistic behavior is a scary one. I know people who marry and say they don't love the individual, but they will grow in love. Notice they marry because the girl got pregnant and hurriedly married to avoid critics bashing them for having a child out of wedlock. Diane says that's hard, but I would not stay if my husband hurt me physically, etc. I know that my God would not want me to be abused. Risa says, yes, separate until they get help and show remorse and have sincerely repented and have seen the wrong in their ways and have changed. Easy Rage says, besides physical abuse, I not letting my children be with someone who verbally abused them either. Bridget says, maybe time needs to be spent away where they go through counseling. Healing needs to take place before further involvement. Who's who? Serial cheater now. Where is the self-respect and values? Hit the road, Jack. Bridget, serious for now. Bridget and praying. Let me see who else we have here. Bridget says that have AIDS, 400 and something STDs, once a mistake, twice a habit. Let me see. Easy Way says, I walking away with my kids so cool and easy.
Mm.
Joel James, that wouldn't change your response. This is when Kyle made the comments about being married to someone, and after a long period of time, you find out that they were cheating. Joel says that wouldn't change your response because when you spend time thinking about it, you still make the same decision as if you knew all the time. Bridget, he couldn't entertain her, so some men are okay with that type of lifestyle, especially if it's working for them both financially. Um, Easy rate. Some people have social media lives too. This is I think Kyle talked about the doctor and the escort.
Yeah.
Mark Clifton. Good night to you, Mark. I'm not sure if I saw your name here earlier on. So good night to you and welcome to the Real Trip. This is your first time viewing. I think it's a case by case basis. There are some men and women who may be able to handle that deception and broken trust. But if you know personally as a man or woman, you cannot deal with that moving on. I think that he or she should leave. Bridget says, I know real people live in secret life because they got cheated on, so they administering revenge. Papa laughs. Oh yes, that's, that's that's not a nice life to live. Risa, mark forgiveness would be key and the love of Christ. The thought that they are remorseful and repentant and has changed shows that you can trust them. They sacrifice losing you to be open. Plus, that may have been eaten at them. What would Jesus do? Love takes Jesus, courage, and putting aside pride. Easy rage. I can forgive but never forget. Problem is to forgive, you better act like you forget. Bridget, I think is only God could remove the doubt and mistrust and move on despite the infidelity. Bridget also added, imagine staying together and damaging the kids in the process. They see and know daddy or mommy cheating. My gosh. Cycle going to repeat itself, save the kids and move on. Tiana Kwame, good night to you, Tiana. Since we're designed to treat marriage like Christ with the church, and he gives free will, likewise, a marriage allows choices, and we are responsible for the choices. Celine says the topic was brilliant, the view from brilliant. Thank you for doing this. I truly believe God made me stay tuned for a reason. Thank you, Celine, for staying with us. We really happy to have you here. I know you confirmed that you were a first time viewer, so I'm glad to see that you said you'll be here with us again. Celine, definitely my view of life changed when my son came into the world. The need to raise a great man, especially with the stigma society has on men as non-achievers. Lovely Rose says marriage has become commercialized. All right, I'm just gonna read up. We just have a few more comments and we're gonna close off. All right, guys. Risa says there's never absolutely any reason for any measure of hate in a marriage. Not saying I'm agreeing or slighting the wrong or hate the person caused. On another note, for unbelieving spouses or the one who has wronged the believing spouse can make the absolute difference in the unbelieving spouse heart. Your forgiveness, your unconditional care, support, etc. may bring the person to our unconditional loving Christ in their hearts. Joel says motive for divorce most of the time is selfishness. Let me see who else. Let me just see if I can. Easy Ray says, thanks for clearing up that question. Risa Mark, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, the spirit behind them at times too. Joel says, being married, I've come to accept neither me or my wife needs to be perfect to be my spouse. Happy wife equals happy life for someone. Easy Ray says this. So my final giveaway is gonna go to Joel James. Joel, I'm not honestly not sure if I've ever seen your name here before. It looks a little familiar, but I'm not 100% sure. I hope this is the first time you're winning a giveaway because I always love doing giveaways to persons who probably never received one or hear viewing for the first time. So I want to say a special good night. And big up to all of the persons that would have won tonight. We had Joel, we had Celine, and who was Diane? Diane was the third person. So congratulations to all of our Real Talk winners tonight. Guys, we really hope to have every single one of you back here on our next show. We are here every other Saturday at 7:30 p.m. And I want to encourage all of you that were here and you know you enjoyed the show, feel free that when you come in our next show to bring someone with you or bring multiple persons with you, all right? Of course, if you feel like the show bless you or you could feel like now that you watch it, you feel like it can bless somebody's life, feel free to share it. All of our shows are on our page, both on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can get any of them at any time and feel free to share them, all right? We want to encourage you all to do that actually. And feel free to also to inbox us on any topics that you say, you know, you're always watching Real Talk, or maybe you even watch it for the first time and you'd like to hear points of view on something else. Feel free to inbox us that as well. Again, I want to say thank you all, every single person that commented tonight. Thank you so much for all of your comments. We love hearing from you. Some of you all are so transparent. I really admire that, and we appreciate that in Real Talk family. We appreciate it. Your questions, whatever it is, we even if you just say good night, we appreciate every comment.
Yeah.
All right. So again, thank you all for being here. Thank you for sharing your Saturday night with us. I hope all of you all are back to share your next Saturday night with us, which will be the not next Saturday, but the following Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Guys, make sure you're here with us. Bring your popcorn or your tea next time, whatever you like, and feel free to share, all right? From Mark and I, we want to say good night.
Good
We
night.
love all of you. Thank you so much for being here again with us, and we look forward to seeing you all in the next show. Good night, everyone. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Bye.
Bye.